James Wootton, BBC 5 Live investigates referee abuse. Duration, 13 minutes and 26 seconds.
Thanks for taking the time to download this BBC Radio 5 Live podcast. To search for other podcasts you might like, click bbc.co.uk/5live, where you'll also find our terms of use.
Hello and welcome to this edition of BBC 5 Live Investigates, with me, James Wootton. Today we'll be investigating the issue of referee abuse. We've been speaking to parents, players and manager of Sussex team Marl Oak. We'll also be hearing from Hampshire FA's referee development officer Andy Moisey, as well as having a guest in the studio later on. Now, referee abuse has been an issue for some time, especially at grassroots football. Up and down the country, referees pull on their black shirts, taking time out of their day to go down to muddy fields and parks to ensure that games can go ahead, only to receive verbal dissent and threats that sometimes even turn into physical violence. As part of this investigation, I've been spending some time in sunny Sussex with local club Marl Oak, speaking to representatives from all different areas of the ground where abuse comes from, whether it be on the pitch, from the sidelines or in the stands. I spoke to several squad members of Marl Oak about what they think of the issue regarding referee abuse.
Obviously you want it to be a fair game and just fun for everyone, and obviously if a referee gets abused then it's not good for him if he's giving up his time and he's doing it for free. So obviously he's giving the lads a game.
So I guess it happens more often than not in the non-league games, sort of where I've played before. You see it a lot. I think it's just, a ref's an easy target, which is quite a sad thing, to be fair. I've sort of been at fault for it, when I've been playing, unfortunately. But I think the sort of heat of the moment of the game sort of takes you over.
Are you aware of the new laws that were introduced at the start of the season? If you assault a referee, you get a 5-year ban, and sort of any verbal abuse, you get fines and sort of smaller bans.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh, okay, no, I didn't know that. No, I wasn't. I don't think that was made very clear, if I'm honest.
Do you think this would be something that would deter you from abusing a referee if you knew that was the case?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely would, because then you obviously know the punishment you get, and that means it can stop people from doing it and make it a better game all round.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, because I do swear at them, but from afar it's just it's part of the game though, so it's going to happen. Can't really stop it.
Yeah, obviously, but sort of in the heat of the moment, you're still going to say something, can't you?
It's surprising to hear that most of the players that I spoke to didn't know about the new laws. As you heard there, if it was a bit more publicised, it could really have a chance of making a difference. Maybe that's the way to go, harsh punishments even for minimal forms of abuse. Let us know your opinions, whether you're a referee, a player or a fan. You can text in at 85058 or find us on Twitter at BBC5Live. Let's hear from the manager's point of view now. I spoke to the boss, Warren Venner, about how he deals with members of his squad and those on the side if they get carried away.
If I'm following FA protocol, then obviously you just tell them to walk away and calm down, really. In the heat of the moment during the game, it's very difficult to tell a player what to do from the sidelines. So, you like to think you've told the players how to behave properly on the pitch and they can sort it out between themselves. I mean, obviously, as a manager, you can't tolerate that. I can't run onto the pitch because I'm not allowed to, so it's up to the captain or one of the teammates to drag them away and explain things to them, which, I like to do at half-time or at the end of the match.
What if anyone on the sideline starts getting involved, sort of mouthing off at the ref?
Wow. That's another tough one because the county football that we play at, there's no such thing, I would say, as the respect laws that you get for other youth football. Obviously, we're playing under 18 football, so you like to think the parents on the sidelines would behave themselves, but it's that's something quite difficult to monitor and deal with. Obviously, if there's a parent that's repetitively saying something to the players on the sidelines, then obviously I have to have a quiet word at the end. But during the game, it's really difficult to monitor and solve, really. So, it's just, I hope, like to think a little bit of common sense gets applied.
What kind of example do you think professionals give off? Obviously, each week you see on the TV that professionals are sort of mouthing off at the ref.
It drives me mad. In all my coaching career with the youngsters and stuff, you can see the lads copy the professionals. You can see the ones that do, because I call them Sky Sports kids. Dive in when it's a fair challenge, shouting at the referee in their face. There's so much that they actually do and copy the professionals. It's I actually think it's getting worse. They keep saying about the professionals need to set an example, but I don't think they set a very good example at all. You look at players like Rooney, who's meant to be an idol. I just think he's got to be one of the worst professionals for that, to be honest with you.
He makes a good point there about the example that professionals give off. Let's just think back to what happened a few weeks ago in the Champions League. Michael Oliver gave a penalty to Real Madrid in the dying moments and then sent off Buffon at the end. That situation ended up escalating so much that Oliver's wife was actually on the receiving end of some of the abuse. I mean, what kind of example is that setting for the younger generation? I remember how easily influenced I was when I used to play. I think at some point I made a fool of myself doing the Peter Crouch robot dance as a celebration. Another thing that influenced myself, and I'm sure a lot of other younger footballers out there, were parents and supporters on the sidelines. I spoke to some of those that were present at the Marl Oak game about the abuse of the referee.
I don't think it should happen. I sort of stand and watch football most weeks, and I hear all the spectators giving their opinion, and most of it's wrong. So when they're abusing the ref, I just laugh to myself and think, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand the game.
Referees, a lot of the time, they deserve what they get.
What kind of example do you think it sets for players if they see their parents shouting on the sides?
Not very good. I've been involved in youth football my life, at all standards. Say percentage-wise, 50% of parents are pretty good, but most of them are living the dream. They're dreaming that they're on the pitch, and that's where the tension comes in.
That's not good. It's not good. It shouldn't happen. The only voices you should hear should be the coaches from the sidelines and just encouragement from the parents. So,
what kind of effect do you think referee abuse has on the referee?
Oh, that's the tricky one, isn't it? Like, you know, because obviously they must feel real low when they've had a bad game, like, kind of thing. So yeah, it is a bit of a shame, but they put themselves in that position, don't they? Unfortunately, I wouldn't be a referee.
If a young ref's getting abuse, I'd imagine it would put him off continuing.
All leagues suffer with lack of referees due to the stick that they get from players, managers are some of the worst as well, these teams. The referee situation is pretty dire at the moment, pretty dire.
Some strong words there, pretty dire. It was amusing to hear some of the voices there. There was the one guy who was giving the ref a bit of stick, but then saying at the end that he wouldn't be a referee. It's a tough job in itself. I mean, especially when you've got the added pressure of the people on the sidelines giving you grief as well as the players and managers. It becomes very hostile, and it's not surprising to hear that there's a shortage of referees coming through. Something that was designed to combat the issue was the Respect campaign, which was introduced almost 10 years ago now, in hope of reducing abuse and promoting respect. It was relaunched again last year, but it seems that the same issues still remain. Hampshire FA's referee development officer Andy Moisey shared his thoughts with us about how successful the campaign has been.
I think whilst as a campaign it's had an impact at the grassroots level of the game and has brought open the awareness of issues and of the like. I think one of the disappointing aspects for county FAs is the fact that it doesn't seem to have been promoted as well as it could have at the higher levels, at the elite levels of the game. If you look at the professional game, the amount of football that's played on TV, etc., I think it could have been better publicised at the higher levels of the game, because young players, young individuals, parents, adults, the lot, they see what goes on at the high levels of the game, and they then think that they can replicate that at the grassroots level of the game. Difference at the grassroots level of the game, 9 times out of 10 it will be a young referee who's at a game refereeing to the best of their ability on their own, and they haven't got the protection of stewards, video and the like to protect them. So from that point of view, a bit of a disappointment.
So an honest opinion there from Andy, who again makes the point of how the professional game is perceived and influencing those at lower and younger levels. He also made a point a bit earlier on in that interview about how players get encouraged to do better next time if they've made a mistake. But if the referee makes a mistake, well, you know the story. But can referee abuse be justified? Maybe you can as a supporter if it's in the professional game, because there is a lot of protection for officials. I know when I go to games, if I think the referee's made a bad decision, I, along with everyone else in the ground, will let them know about it if they're consistently bad. But could there be a solution to bad refereeing? So I'm joined now in the studio by Jasper Shiner, who's a Southampton fan, and you've had your fair share of quarrels with referees recently, haven't you?
Yes, a few to say the least.
So I saw that you tweeted the other day and it got me thinking that it was a good idea. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yes, so following Southampton's recent defeat to Chelsea at home, I was kind of distraught almost at the standard of refereeing and how Premier League referees seem to keep refereeing at the top level, regardless of any mistakes that they make. So I thought that why isn't there some sort of system in place that promotes or relegates managers based on their performances? Surely the referees that perform the best should be refereeing the higher level and the most important games. So why isn't there some sort of league system that works the same way as the Football League does, where referees get points based on, reviewed by the clubs after the match, and at the end of the year, they get moved up to referee in a higher division, or they get moved down to referee at a lower level if they've been poor. That way you get the kind of the best or the most talented or the most consistent referees refereeing the higher profile matches.
Yeah, so I know that referees are able to be demoted. I know that last season, controversial referee Mike Dean was demoted for a brief period to the Championship, but that was only for 2 weeks. I think what you're suggesting is that there should be an official league system almost.
Yes.
Because, there's only sort of a select group of referees. I mean, even when you get to the end of the season, it's the Championship playoff final, so the second tier in English football. Rather than bring in the best Championship referee of that season to referee the final, they bring in a Premier League. So that's almost sort of an insult to those Championship referees who are looking to obviously further their career and try and reach that highest level.
Yeah, it is. And it's you mentioned it's kind of almost an insult. You should be rewarding referees who are doing well, whether that's with progression or refereeing high, important fixtures, whether it's a playoff final, an FA Cup final. If there's a lack of talent or a lack of ability in the referees in an area like there is at the moment in the UK, then why aren't we thinking about bringing in talent from abroad to come in and referee? Because there is a severe lack of it. And why is there a severe lack of it? You could say that there's a multitude of things, abuse. Not enough people are being encouraged to get into coaching. There's so much stuff that needs to be done by the FA to encourage more people to referee.
See, something we've been talking about on the show is referee abuse. Do you think that attributes to one of the reasons why we have so few sort of top referees in the English game?
Definitely. I think you see people like Howard Webb and Graham Poll, and they finish their careers, they go abroad, they're doing stuff with VAR or refereeing in Saudi Arabia. Where's the next Howard Webb coming from? It's almost like there's this conveyor belt that's slowing down because more and more people take up refereeing but then stop at a young age because they're being abused, whether it's on Sunday league football pitches, whether it's on Twitter. You need to support young people who want to referee and encourage them. Or we need to get more young people interested in refereeing as well.
You can share your thoughts with us here by texting 85058, or you can find us on Twitter at BBC5Live. To hear tales from referees themselves, as well as an experiment involving secret cameras to capture abuse, you can watch the documentary The Issue of Referee Abuse, which is on the BBC Sport website now. Who'd want to be a referee, eh?
On digital and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
bbc.co.uk/5live.